Just because you want to work for yourself, it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. Try to understand the market, try to understand your customer. Who are you trying to serve? If you have something that other people are interested in and want, of course you should be able to start your own business. There's no reason you can't.
I have always admired women with the power, female entrepreneur, female founders, and today I have one here. Julie Ruehle is here today in my studio. Julie is one of the greatest female entrepreneurs in Austin, Texas, and I have a pleasure to sit with her and talk about entrepreneurship and how she lives as a female entrepreneur and grow her business. Julie, welcome.
Thank you, Rami. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. I remember when we met, we were talking about, how it felt to be a female entrepreneur. Like, you grow up in Iran and then you move here to the United States, but you kind of build an empire and you have a very amazing journey how to become who you are today with the business that you have built. What that journey look like for you?
It all started out in 1987. At the age of 17, I got on the plane, went to Switzerland to obtain a visa to come to America. I did not think I was going to get visa. That was back in the days when the hostages and everything else, the political scene was not all that great. The prospects of being able to get a visa to come here, they were not that great. But as luck would have it, I ended up getting a visa. I had a one-way ticket to actually Houston, Texas, of all places. I landed in Houston, and my brother at the time was going to medical school at UTMB in Galveston. And I'm sure you're familiar, all the Iranian families, they stay together. I ended up having to live with my brother. I came here with no money. I remember back in the days, it was difficult, but because I was so young, I felt that it was going to be all right. All I had to do was work hard, and I was in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and all I had to do is just go out to work and study and get my degree and be able to do the things that I wanted to do. So I ended up living in Galveston and Houston, got my undergrad degree in accounting, actually. It was in the University of Houston. And then just kind of, through a series of events, ended up moving to California, and that's where the real career actually started. It was post my graduate degree that I ended up working for a lot of technology companies. In essence, I grew up in corporate America. I had a variety of positions in finance role and compliance role. I was the chief compliance officer and auditor and corporate controller, variety of roles in the technology company in Silicon Valley. And then I decided that I wanted to manage our own businesses that had already started, which was the family office, the Ruehle family office, which essentially ended up having, as I sit here today, 3 arms. One was the real estate private equity. And the second one is Aspirational Ventures, which is a kind of a mini VC/accelerator type of an organization. And then the Private Family Foundation, which is a giving foundation, grant giving foundation to the causes we believe in. So the journey started really post my corporate career, where I felt like I understood how the world worked, and I was able to find myself and orient myself in that world and be able to grow something of our own as opposed to working for someone else.
Why did you not working for the corporate? What was wrong?
I wouldn't say there was anything per se wrong with it, but it wasn't mine. I actually got the majority of my good and practical experiences in the business world I learned it in the corporate setting. When you work for 500-pound gorillas like Applied Materials and Hitachi Data Systems and Broadcoms of the world, you end up learning quite a bit of how the business is run. You're in essence pigeonholed to your own little world. But if you make yourself relevant, and if you plant yourself on the critical path of a lot of important things that happen in the corporate world, you end up learning quite a bit. So what was wrong with it? It wasn't mine. The idea of being pigeonholed in one role wasn't exactly appealing to me. But it did provide me a great amount of experience, not to mention the job security and the paycheck that kept coming, right? But after that, I felt like, okay, I'm at a point where I can actually oversee our family office. It's big enough for me to be able to keep busy, full time and then some. I decided that's what I wanted to do. What I really take pride in is Ruehle Realty. That's the private equity, real estate private equity, that kind of started very organically. I didn't really mean to start it. It was kind of like, you know how we are,
Yes.
being from Iran, real estate. My dad always said, buy real estate, own your real estate. You got to
Own
have
your house,
own
yeah.
your house and have as many houses as possible. So I ended up acquiring these really high-end real estate pieces, and they were all residential. And as luck would have it, there was a market crash in 2008. We couldn't sell them, so I ended up renting them. Kind of like a core strategy was having just really solid renters and tenants, which we would get into these very long-term. Some of them were corporate clients, and we ended up growing that. And now we're all across the U.S. We have expanded to Canada, Hawaii Islands, and recently to Dubai. And I take great amount of pleasure at, I just recently had the honor of being named in the top 5,000 fastest growing companies in the U.S., Inc. 5,000. So our company was named in that list. So that was a great honor. And it's kind of a well-oiled machine now. It runs itself. We don't really deviate much from the strategy itself. And we just continue the path that we started on. Our investment thesis has not changed. We only invest in places that we would live in and we like, and we continue to do that. I have never built or developed a land, but I'm in the process of that.
Wow,
of doing
congratulations.
That. Yeah.
Now you're going to be a developer and a builder.
I don't want to overstate that. I think I think it's something that I've always thought about, really didn't have that much interest in, but I think the opportunity is there now. The real estate prices are depressed at the moment, and it's really the geography that you have to hone in and zoom in on and just kind of go after it and really decide how much work you want to put into it. I've had many opportunities where I could have gone in with a lot of other partners to build high rises and to build multifamily homes and apartment complexes and dorms and assisted livings and things like that. And it's very much off the side of our investment thesis. So I've just kind of decided, in order to not spread myself too thin, it's best to stay with the core strategy that has always worked for us. So that's where I am.
I have talked and speak and interview so many female entrepreneurs and founders, and they all say the same thing. It was very hard for them to pivot from corporate environment or leave their job and go and play in the backyard of dominated by men. And they had that problem. I'm not saying that it's not doable, but they said that it was very tough. I don't know, this is the mentality of the environment or the country or the corporate or what is going on. But why you think is that? Why you think being a female is harder to start rather than men, which is, I believe, females or the women, they have the same power. And if you're asking me, they can operate better. I know that, I have seen it. But the people that I have talked to, they said it's not like that. They had hard times. I'm just wondering, I'm asking that, did you have those hard times? Like you work in the corporate, I know you learn a lot, no doubt, hands down, you learn a lot. But sometimes you feel something that is not for me. They don't let me play. They don't let me play. They're not hearing me. I can go up the ladder, but sometimes, they pull the ladder. I have seen it. It happens. I don't know, did you have those challenges that you said, no, I want to play my own game, I want to build what I have, and I want to go for it fully, and I want to go raise money? Because you raised money. You didn't have that much money. You raised money. You had to build a trust with other people. How did you do that? Because a lot of females are listening, watching, they have the same question. I want to do it too.
So you asked a very big question, and it has a lot of different angles to it. Yes, the corporate world is dominated by men, but we have progressively seen the change. I do want to give the credit when it's due. Back then, when I started in the 1990s, of course, the dominance of men by multitudes, by multiples versus women. But we do see now the women CEOs and the board members. So first I want to start with that positive note that I have seen the trajectory and I've seen the progression. Having said that, it doesn't mean, was the question, why is it that it's all men? I don't exactly know how it all planned out that way. I think maybe I will speak from my perspective. Maybe women are more shy and more of an introvert when it comes to settings where there's a large presence of the opposite sex. And I can't say that's true for everybody, but it has happened to me that where you're sitting in a meeting and you're the only female there and you just kind of feel majorly outnumbered and you just tend to retreat and feel a little less and feel a little more inadequate. And therefore, you're not at the top of your performance. Naturally speaking, if I feel threatened by my environment, I'm not able to speak, communicate, and convey what's in my head and what I'm able to do. So my performance would lag, right?
Yep.
And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if the men feel that, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's not even able to even communicate it across, then they're more likely to write you off, which then becomes, it shows in the way they carry the conversation and you feel even more outnumbered. So maybe these are the reasons. I think I would speak from my own experience. I was somewhat oblivious to that. I always had this thing. I've had many coaches and mentors all throughout my career. And one of them, who actually happens to be my husband now, back then when he wasn't, one of the things that he
definitely
said,
knew what he's doing.
Well, I knew what I was doing. I think we both lucked out.
He's a lucky man.
What happened was this saying, it always echoes in my head, and he said it to me in a way that a mentor would say. He said, Julie, just keep your eyes on the prize. Everything else is a noise in the background.
Wow.
So that always echoes,
powerful.
so powerful.
So
and
powerful.
I often remind myself when I feel like I'm losing it, when I'm losing my head, there's so much going on.
That's how you get focus.
I'm like, keep your eyes on the prize, stay laser focused. Everything else is just noise in the background. You don't have to listen and focus on that. So I think in some ways I grew up with that mentality in my career where my focus was, I am trying to get from point A to point B and I'm going to do it. And in my family, I'm known for that when Julie sets her mind on something, she will do it. And I didn't let this get to my head. Yes, of course, I have obstacles and nervousness along the way and apprehension of my own capabilities, but always go back to that quote. And then when I say I was oblivious to if there was any prejudice against me being a female, I didn't feel it. Or if I felt it, I immediately let it pass. It was a fleeting thought or a fleeting emotion. And I went back to the point of what I was trying to do. That was one way.
But you know, females, you got to agree with this one. Females are more emotional than men.
You're right.
You know, and
You go cry in the bathroom.
Yeah.
You go cry in the bathroom.
Being in a position that you are today, sometimes you have to make decisions.
Right.
And some critical decisions.
Correct.
And sometimes our emotions overrides. Like sometimes our emotions gets us. And how you deal with those emotions, like you get emotionally, you know, into it and say, no, the logic says, Julie, you cannot say yes to this deal, or whatever it is, the situation, how you overcome that. Because one of the biggest problems we all have, sometimes, you know, our emotions, because our emotions comes from our emotions. The way you think is what you do.
What you do.
You know, and how you overcome that. Like, is it a specific mindset you practice? Is it, I don't know.
I think it's throughout the years I have sharpened and harnessed this skill to control my emotions. I remember this saying from another mentor in my career, a poker face. A poker face. There could be a war, a battle going on in my head, emotions going every which way, but a curtain comes down on my face, a virtual one, and I keep a very, very serious poker face until I'm able to gather my emotions and be able to articulate what I'm about to say in an influential way. What I strongly recommend against, and I've been a victim of this myself, is when you are emotional, angry, hurt, upset, overwritten, the best thing to do is to not express in that moment how you feel.
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything. Because you cannot be blamed for what you didn't say. It could be happening in your head, and then you could go back and redirect and massage your own thoughts and come back with a different tone, with a different set of vocabularies that would not come across as offensive to your audience, and influence them as opposed to talking at them.
No, don't react quick.
Because
I was victim of that. Like sometimes, you know, you get these emails, you get these texts, whatever you say, I want to let them have it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I had them and they said, just don't, if you read it, just step back, do not reply that time. Just moment. And that moment, just go and think about it, sleep on it. And then it's not easy, but I'm practicing it. I'm getting much better, you know. But as you said, especially in your world or our world as entrepreneurs, you know, that's so important.
It is quite important. And try to influence people. And I meant that when I said the word influence versus speaking at people or dictating to them what you believed should be done and what the right path is. I actually learned this through the interactions with my children. So I have 2 girls, as you know, and raising them in this society has always been very difficult. But I had to educate myself because I didn't have any prior experience. So one of the things that I read was try to be their advisor as opposed to a parent who dictates. So when you listen to an advisor, you are in a completely different mindset. You're opening up to be influenced as opposed to if somebody comes and talks at you and tells you, well, this is the way it should be and that's how I feel and this is the right way and these are my reasons. I honestly think it's a matter of getting older, getting wiser, and honing your communication skills. Being able to influence and use words that are influential as opposed to acting like a dictator.
Like talking to them, not at them.
Exactly.
Right now, I know a lot of people, as you know, they want to work for themselves. This is like a hot topic right now. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a female entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. And it's not an easy life. You know it. You know it. I'm sure, you know, you have mentor people, you still do, and people, they come to you and say, Julie, I want to work for myself. I want to work. What would you tell them? Like, Really, if somebody comes to you, what would you tell them? The first thing you would tell them, what is it?
Well, I would say, what idea or what product or service are you offering? Make sure there's a demand for it. Just because you want to work for yourself, it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. Try to understand the market. Try to understand your customer. Who are you trying to serve? That's number one. If you have something that other people are interested in and want, then we can talk. And of course, you should be able to start your own business. There's no reason you can't. The second thing I will say, once you have established that you have a product or service that others want, I would not go cold quitting my job and focusing on that. If you read some of these big names, Mark Zuckerberg, the Nike founder, all these guys, they had a day job. And then they started on their ideas that they thought other people needed and wanted at night. Because the main reason is until you have enough traction in the market and you've been able to produce and you feel like there is prospect of some level of revenue stream, it would be very demoralizing to give up your day job that pays for your bills and to focus on that. This may be contrary to advice that a lot of other people will tell you, but I've read enough books about this to know, and I often advise my own children, that until you feel that there is enough traction and you believe that this is going somewhere, do not give up your day job. That's number two.
Is this your approach because you hear so many pitches right now because you're getting into the VC with some startups? And they come to you and say, we need XYZ, we need this funding. And they pitch their idea to you. What is the first thing you would ask them? Like they have the idea, they got a product, they got a service, whatever they're offering. Is it the character of the person or is it the product? It's
a combination. It's never one in lieu of the other. I do look at, so there are four things that I
By the way, guys, if you guys listening to the thing, this is a free coaching. If you want to go pitch to VCs, this is a class.
That's right. Four major components in the framework that I use when I speak to the entrepreneurs. Number one, the service or the product, as I just mentioned.
Yes.
Is this something people need? Do they feel they need it, or are you going to create demand? So the distinction is there. Let me explain.
Yeah.
Back 10 years, 20 years ago, we didn't think we needed a cell phone. What was that? If anybody tell us, like, no, I don't need that. Yeah. Now they have created such demand for this that I cannot envision my life without my cell phone. So they created that demand. I didn't go up to Steve Jobs and say, hey, I need a cell phone that I'm able to get my job done through. I didn't do that. They created something that now I cannot live without. So that's demand creation versus I have to eat. That's a demand. That's an inherent demand that I have for food. You understand the distinction between the two? Demand creation versus inherent demand that naturally exists. So when I talk to the entrepreneurs, number one, is there product or service? Is there demand for it, or are you going to create demand? Number two, I look at the team. How are they interacting with one another? Is it a one-man shop, or is it, or do they have complementary skills? If one understands the customers, does the other one understand the product? Do they have the technical abilities? Do they have the it factor? There's been I've sat in meetings where you listen to them and you're like, they've got the product, they've got the demand, I feel like but this is just not the right team. They're just not finishing each other's sentences. That's another sign. If they finish each other's sentences, one founder talks and the co-founder finishes this sentence of the other guy, you know they're in sync. They're going into this together with in a very collaborative way. One doesn't dominate the other. They don't get into fights. I've been in meetings that they actually bicker with one another.
Really?
Which is, you're like, that can't be, that's coaching number one. Do not do that. But, it doesn't happen all the time. And people that have worked with one another in the past, they always gravitate towards one another. So I see them. If they've been serial entrepreneurs and they've had exits before, that's a great sign. So number one, product and service. Along the same line, I would add, do they have the domain expertise of their product? For example, if I'm not a doctor, but I'm coming up with some sort of a therapy, that's questionable. It's a question of a team versus having the domain expertise of who the customers. Do I understand my customers? If I haven't been a doctor, how could I possibly come up with a drug? Or how could you need to have been in that space, and I need to feel like they understand. They have the domain expertise. Number three, it was product traction. And I talked about that a minute ago. Are they able to show that they have met their milestones? So traction doesn't necessarily mean revenue being post revenue, because that's hard for entrepreneurs. It takes them a few years until they're actually revenue, and then post revenue, and then profitable. But traction can be applied to anything along their way. If they've had a milestone that they set for themselves, did they achieve it? If they had a milestone to understand their customers and size up their market, did they do that? Do they understand the next generation of their product and what that is? And what does it take to get there? So this, to me, is attraction. And I actually look at their funding in the past, the money they received, what did they do with it? And did that help? When they raised the first round, or let's say their pre-seed or seed, they obviously showed their investors certain milestones. Did they achieve it? Did they obtain? Did they do what they said they would when they received that money? So traction is the third that I really focus on. And the last but not the least is their price and valuation. Most startups that I talk with, unless there are post-revenue or post-something Series A and beyond, there really isn't a valuation, because it's very hard for the entrepreneurs to come up with a valuation on their own. They usually look to their lead investor to help them achieve that. And there are a variety of ways to do that, and that I can go through. Some of them that come to mind is really understanding multiples of revenues, or the amount of dilution, because every round they raise, they get diluted for about 20%. It's about 15 to 25% on average. 20% they give up 20% of their equity, and so those all go into that mathematical equation to calculate the valuation. What do I care for as an investor? It's really understanding, one, does the founder understand their valuation? What do they think they are worth, and why? Do they have a rationale? That's what I look for. The mindset, the mentality, the milestones that they say, well, by this time, if I, for example, get my first FDA approval for human trial for the safety, then I will be at that price. And the second FDA approval would put me here in that milestone. So really understanding what milestones they need to meet to be at a certain value. For me as an investor, they need to be worth it. I need to understand what their market is. As an example, if I invest in a company that in the best case scenario, they were to sell for, I don't know, a few $1,000,000, 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road, is that in my investment thesis? I would say to you, no. That's not something that we would do for that long of a time, for that little amount of multiples of the exit. So it all comes down to the market size. And we look to the founders to have sized up or down their market based on some criteria, convincing criteria, to tell us why they think their market is this, and why they think in 5 years' time someone is going to come and scoop them up for this valuation. And if that fits within my investment thesis, then I'm all for it, and I'll continue to listen. Other than that, No, but there are other, VCs and angel investors.
They jump in.
And you asked me this question about what would you tell someone who says, I don't want to work for the corporate world, I want to go work for myself. I didn't give you this very important answer. I would say to them, another thing I would say to them, which I've told my own daughters, is try to raise money with your family and friends. When your concept is so untested, it is very hard to get a VC money. Very, very hard. And it's the reality of it. And you end up being very demoralized, getting rejected, which we can talk about rejection in a minute as well and how to handle that. It's a big one. So my strong recommendation is when you start out, the best bet would be your family and friends, especially if your idea is so new and you are not. It's your first rodeo as well. If you haven't been down this path, you want to quit your corporate job and you want to go do this, and you haven't done this before, it is, I can tell you, 0% chance that the VCs or anyone that doesn't know you will invest in you. Your mom and dad probably will. So that's an advice that I tell I give my own children, and it's very true.
It's very true. But I was listening to you. I think there's a highlight of when you go pitch to investor, you got to know your numbers.
Absolutely.
Like I have seen it. The people go and pitch. I was in one of them. They don't know their numbers. Yeah. They really don't know their numbers. Mm-hmm. And you guys, when you ask them, okay, what is the profit margin? What is? Have you done the market analysis? Who else selling it that? They don't know. They didn't do the competition analysis. And sometimes, like you have seen it too, like Shark, the ring, the company ring. That was a good, I don't know, maybe 1 in 1,000 that Mark Cuban said, no, I'm not going to. And now they're kicking themselves that ring is so huge. Amazon bought them and they go say, no, we're not going to. Who's going to watch you on the door and the camera? And those might happen too.
Absolutely. Think of Uber.
Who
right?
taught?
Who would? So one of the investors that turned them down, I actually know them. They said to themselves, who had the idea of offering like these private cars? Who would get in a private car to begin with?
You grow up in the country that said, do not get in the stranger's car. Now we're doing it every day.
And then Airbnb.
You go to a stranger's house.
You go to a stranger's house and couch surfing and all that. God. I mean, so the demand creation is another one. That's what I said. These are we didn't know we needed this. We didn't know we could get comfortable, but hey, we did.
And it, as you just mentioned about rejection, and then we go to VCs, and then I have met founders, great ideas, great people, character, strong. They need money. They go in there, full force. They get rejected. And then they come back. The whole world is crushing on them. And what advice do you have? Because you have seen it. I'm sure you've been there too, that you get that rejection. And sometimes it's very hard to deal with rejection.
Absolutely. It's one of the strongest human emotions and the most demoralizing and destructive. And it could be paralyzing if we allowed it. If we allowed it. And I continue to go back to that quote, that keeping your eyes on the prize. These are obstacles along the way. If we didn't have them, then we're not on the right path. Which path has been so paved and nice for us in life, in any aspects of our lives, starting with fitness and the partner we choose to marry and the children that we raise. In every single aspect of our lives, we encounter obstacles. It's the question of how we manage them, if we allow them to define us. I'm sure we've had kids or we've seen kids that tell their parents, I hate you because of X, Y, and Z. If that parent were to go live the rest of his or her life thinking that he or she is hated by their kid, they would not have a normal life. It's the very same concept in the professional world. I'm not defined by the rejections I've received. What they say about me and my product does not constitute who I am and what my products are.
That does not define you.
That does not define me, does not constitute anything. It's their opinion. What I do is I try to take nuggets from what I heard and apply and execute if I find them valid. If a VC told me your market sizing did not make sense to me and offered me examples as to why that does not make sense, I will go think about it and I'll try to act upon it and correct it and make it better and modify it. So my next pitch I'll be more prepared. So in some ways, rejection, and it sounds like cliche, but it's really not. It's an opportunity for me to learn what I did wrong, as opposed to letting them define me as a person, as opposed to taking it personally and letting it affect me and paralyze me.
But not everybody thinking like you, Julie, because some people, it has a direct correlation with vulnerability. Because
Yes.
some people, they don't do that. They don't want to be vulnerable. I think you are a very vulnerable person because you believe, like me, I believe, okay, judge me all day long. I'm going to be vulnerable. I don't care.
Right.
But some people, they really connect those
personally.
two together, and then they take it very personal. Therefore, they don't say it. They take it in and say, I reject it. Okay, next time I don't want to ask for it. I don't want to be vulnerable but they're going to judge you no matter what.
They're going to judge
And
you
you've been
no matter
rejected
what.
many times.
Exactly.
I have been rejected many times.
One saying I heard one of the CEOs that I was talking to is that to be an entrepreneur, you need to be prepared to be ridiculed at least once a week by someone. Somebody.
That's a cool one.
That's a cool one, right?
Sometimes I get two.
Yeah.
If I don't get it, I give myself one for the next week.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. One of the things that I try to exercise
so
in my
funny.
head, don't let it get to your head. Don't take yourself seriously. That's another thing in my head. Every single day, I wake up and I'm like, Julie, don't take yourself too seriously. This is just not this game. We're all going to die at the end. No one is going to come out on top in this game. No one is going to win, okay? So if we have that perspective that we're all going to end up dead, it humbles you. Yeah. It really humbles you.
I agree.
And it makes you think that I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to go do what I believe I should do. I'm going to be a productive person. I'm going to be purposeful. I'm going to be kind. And we'll see where the chips fall.
Kindness is always a win.
It doesn't even cost any money.
I told you off camera, I have been giving so much. You can just control that, but it's still giving is better than receiving. Because by receiving, you actually created a better life for yourself and the people around you.
Right.
But you can't always give yourself, because when your cup is empty, your cup is empty. You can't help other people. That's what I think is the bigger problem as human right now. We don't understand the power of that giving. That's why you have the foundation. And the purpose of your foundation, I am sure, is in a way that you have to give back.
Yeah. Our family believes in that. And back in 2016, I started the foundation. And the reason was we had always given, but in a haphazard way. And I wanted it to be a little bit more disciplined and thoughtful and methodical. So I felt that if I was able to zoom in on the causes that I believed in, so we focus on health, education, and animal welfare. So the health part is cancer, autism, teen suicide. These are the organizations that we've identified, we believe in, we know they stretch their dollars and they're trying to be impactful. That's one. And they're all from personal experiences. My husband lost his grandson to suicide at the age of 17. So all these things, they have been reasons that we feel it is our job. And so to give back to the community, to the society that has been so good to us. Education is really about young people who are trying to make their way and get launched. I take tremendous amount of pleasure in mentoring, helping, and we issue scholarships to a particular school that my husband is very big on for advantaged kids. And the third is animal welfare. I mean, we've always been.
Oh my God, I saw your dog. It's so cute.
Where did you see my dog?
When we had the dinner.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes,
so
yes.
Cute.
So
that dog is so cute. Oh
so
my God.
she is a rescue, but we try to, for the foundation, we support underdeveloped countries, including, Iraq, Afghanistan, Egypt, Iran. These places with vaccination, sterilization, population control, things like that. Yeah, so it's the underdeveloped. And of course, I was on the board of San Diego Humane Society. It's a $60 million nonprofit, and it was the biggest honor of my life. For 4 years I was there, and I was also heading up their finance committee. So that also got me into my local community as well. I haven't really gone into anything here since we moved 3 years ago, but that's also on my list.
Well, you just mentioned it, that you can't take anything with you. Everything is temporary. You
That's
haven't
right.
seen a U-Haul behind the hearse. I haven't seen it. Maybe you saw it, but you don't see that. But with all said, when you wake up in the morning, what drives Julie? Like, when you get up in the morning after bed, it says, what drives you?
People.
Really?
It's the people.
I'm like you. Like,
I get my
look
energy.
forward to
I look forward.
Oh
I
my
woke up
God.
today, I thought about this.
Oh my God, you are like me. I get energy from people. I don't know what it is, but when I'm in the environment that I hang around with people, and good or bad, I get it. I love to talk to people, learn about them, and I'm sure you are like that too. And the day will be great, and I have my, losers, I have my wins and everything. But at the end of the day, it's people. Everything built by people. This country,
Everything.
companies,
And it's
relationships.
amazing what happens when you put yourself out there. You're open to people. They're open to you, and opportunities. I mean, look at the way we met,
Exactly.
right?
I know.
I mean, who would have known? Who
Oh
would
my
have
God. And I show up at the
thought?
dinner and I say, oh, shit,
sure.
Julie's here with Shahnaz, and here you go, and we are here. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And all my other friends that
Yeah,
turned
I
out to be
know.
common friends.
Oh my God.
It happens in personal settings. It happens in social and professional settings.
Do you believe that when we put ourselves, you just said it, in the environment, that you think that, why I have to go there, or why I have to be there? But things different, things happens, or things happens for a reason.
For a reason.
Sometimes you reject something. Sometimes you say, no, I don't want to go there. But when you go there, you said, I'm so happy I came. This happened to me many times.
To me too. And just very recently, my husband often reminds me every time I don't want to go to a meeting or I'm too tired. I mean, we get tired too. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, enough talking. I just want to sit and binge on my Netflix.
Yeah.
And he tells me, remember the last 4 times you just thought that you didn't want to go, and then you went, and then what happened? I mean, I have so many examples of these and he says to me, every time you don't feel like going to a place, you need to go.
You need to go.
Because that's the one that's going to be so fruitful. And
It's the power of relationships.
Power of relationships.
I think I tell everybody, it's all about who you know.
It's all about who you know.
And especially with our culture, or even here, my network is my net worth.
That's exactly right.
It's like that.
That's
like, I have so many people in my network, and you have it too. And then the more people you get to know, the more you learn.
That's right.
Good or bad.
Good or
if
bad.
it's bad, it's on them. If it's good, thank you.
Right.
I learned something.
Yeah.
And not everything defined by money.
No.
Really, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's just that, like a pure friendship, that I can be there for you if you need me. I had people that I called and I said, I'm stuck. What should I do? He said, tell me. They helped me, because alcoholic people, the 3 words they can say, I need help. Otherwise, they wouldn't be alcoholic.
That's right.
Sometimes we don't say that.
No.
But I'm so vulnerable. I said, hey, Julie, I need help. What do you think I should do? I don't mind. What is the worst case scenario? I'm going to be in the same place I was yesterday. Is
There you
Julia's
go.
going to judge me? Okay, so be it.
So
But
be it.
it's not going to happen. But at least I learned something.
It's always good to leave this world thinking that you've done what you always set out to do, or at least you tried, as opposed to have never tried. And being in your deathbed and thinking about, I don't have time now.
Oh my God, regret. Do you have
Regret.
any regrets, Julie? That's a quiet pause.
I'm trying to really remember.
I have. I can,
Yeah, why don't you tell us
Well,
what
I
yours?
have. I have a regret of some stuff why I didn't do it sooner. And why I didn't do because of this, I'm saying it publicly, I did not believe myself.
Mm-hmm.
I did not believe myself. That's what I'm telling everybody. Got it. Believe yourself. Believe you can do it. I believe I could not do it. But I was wrong. And I have that regret. Why? 20 years ago, I did not do that. I could do it, but I didn't believe myself and I chickened out.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know, but it's past, but I'm getting better. I'm doing it. I have a great life, great people around me, but yes, we all have regrets. Some people don't, but regret is the worst thing you can have. That's what from that day on, like I recognize that, I said, I want to do anything. I want to put my mind to it. And the worst case scenario is going to be no, and I'm going to deal with it.
Well, I think it's our age.
Do you think so?
I think so too. This happened to me about 5 or 6 years ago, where I just said, I'm going to live the life that I want to live, not the life that others think I should.
I'm with you, Gary.
And that rejection, if I meet a female that I want to be friends with, that I look up to, or I just kind of like because they're cool, or they're, I like to be in their company. 10 years ago, I would probably not approach. I would have all these restrictions.
You know how I met
myself.
Mel Robbins? I tell you how I met Mel Robbins.
No.
I was in Colorado for Orange Theory Fitness, and I was in the convention with the Orange Theory Fitness team because one of our biggest clients. And then Mel Robbins was the speaker. I love Mel.
Yeah.
And I said, and I was listening to her, I said, I'm going to go talk to her because I will regret. And what is the work case scenario? She's going to say no. And I just passed everybody. I went behind the curtain. I went to the green room. Here is Mel, me. And I said, excuse me, who are you? And I said, hey, I'm Rami, Mel. I really love your book, 5 Seconds Rule. I read it. You are a big fan. And then we started. So she was so nice. I said, I want to have a chat with you. She said, no problem, sure. And then make the story short. And then we had a chat. We talked next time. It's just, otherwise I would regret.
If
I
you
did
hadn't
it.
done.
I did it. I would go to the hotel. I said, God damn it, why you didn't do that? Why you didn't do that? Then that day forward, I said, I'm not going to, I'm just going to do it.
Good for you. Good
I'm just
for
going
you.
to do
That's
it. If I
the
like
way.
somebody, like I want to learn something from, I want to just go say, hey, it's me. I really admire you. And I want to, Renee Brown. That's our new target.
Right.
I want to go in Houston. I want to get it. I want to talk to her. And he said, what is the worst case? She's going to say no. But I know I'm going to get her.
Yeah. Good.
Beyonce's father, the same thing. I talked to her. I didn't know who the hell is this guy is. We just met, and he said, come up there. I said, why did you decide to talk to him? He said, because you don't take no for an
Point answer.
And then we became good friends. And I interviewed, him. I talk about Beyonce, about their kids in his mansion. We had so much fun, and then we are friends. But I'm just saying that it's not, you got to do it.
You got to go for it.
Otherwise, regret really, especially as you get older, you drag all those regrets.
Yeah.
Why? Now I said it's not a wish, it's a must. Right. When you turn your, wishes or, to must, everything changes.
Right.
I don't want to wish this. I must have it.
Yeah.
I must have it.
And don't put so many restrictions on yourself.
Who is perfect?
Who is perfect?
I swear to God, I still have a freaking accent. And everybody telling me that you have an accent. Who cares? I have an accent. Deal with it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, who cares? It's really getting the point across and being a good communicator and having good energy. I believe in that.
I believe in
good energy.
I have a severe allergy to negative people. I swear to God, that energy, I don't know what it is, Julie. When I go somewhere and I see these people, it's just like a magnet, and I say, dude, you gotta get out of here. I can feel the energy.
That's
I'm very
exactly
driven
right.
by positive energy.
Yes.
And negative, which is I run from it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how energy play a big role in our lives.
Absolutely, and I'm all with that, for that. I try to be positive to my girls. One of the regrets has nothing to do with this. It just came to me. I wish I wasn't such a disciplined parent to my girls. I was when they were growing up because I had so many fears.
Girls, confession.
Yeah, it's a confession. It's so many fears. I was like, they were not
Sarah, good listen.
I felt like, what if they don't make it? What if make it, meaning like they don't survive, like, because they're just being so mindless about going out and cars. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to die. And I became very, very disciplined about that.
I can tell you, I saw one of your daughters. Mm-hmm. You are an amazing mother because she really loves you. I'm sure Sarah too, but
yes.
You raised such an amazing kid.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm serious from the bottom of my heart. They are amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Every time someone says that, it just,
they are amazing, really.
The light goes off.
It's just, you did great. But what advice do you have for those female entrepreneurs that they are working right now in the corporate, or they said, hey, I want to go do something for myself? What is your advice?
You should go for it. Don't quit your day job yet, but you should go for it.
That's
you should
good.
Absolutely go for it.
Thank you so much, Julie, for being here.
Thank you, Rami.
It was a pleasure.
It was
such a nice conversation.
It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.